Okay, so I've probably warned you all 100 different times on this channel to temper your expectations when it comes to Jeff Keighley showcases, because more often than not, they just don't live up to the hype that he tries to build up online. I mean, to be completely fair, that is his job. He's trying to attract as many viewers as he possibly can. And okay, that's perfectly fine. I get it. Now, I don't know about calling the Nintendo Switch 2 a partner the way he previously suggested. That might have been a little too misleading. But at the end of the day, it's not that he can't get a few good announcements, because he absolutely can. It's just that they're oftentimes buried amidst an overly long, poorly paced showcase. That's personally why I think his events make for better highlight videos. You can just simply skip a lot of the fluff and get right into the best announcements, and that's actually what we're going to do here today. We're going to go over some of the better highlights and my opinions about each one of these games. So let's just go and get right into it. Starting off with the best of the best, the Resident Evil 9 leak was absolutely true. Now, they tried to pull a fast one on us here. Earlier in the showcase, they made it sound like we were going to have to wait a little bit longer before an official reveal, but apparently that was only about a 20-minute long wait. Some fun humor by Capcom and Jeff Keighley, but yeah. Resident Evil 9 is officially titled Resident Evil Requiem, as was inferred by the leak, and it will be out next year on February 27th. It's supposed to be a major tone shift for the series. We're going to revisit a now destroyed Raccoon City, and we will have a new lead. Grace Ashcroft, the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft, which starred in Resident Evil Outbreak, will be at least one of the new main characters. Now, according to Dusk Golem, which so far has been 100% correct about the Requiem reveal, he said that Leon Kennedy will also make an appearance and is actually the main protagonist of the game. We're apparently going to get that reveal later on, but as long as that's true, I'm personally very, very optimistic. In my opinion, Leon has been a part of the absolute two best entries, being Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4. So if he indeed is the new protagonist, I'd say that bodes up pretty well for Resident Evil 9. Unfortunately, though, we really don't have too much in the way of gameplay just yet. This was more of a tease, really just a confirmation more than anything else. But the fact that it's only 8 months away, that means that we should see some gameplay sooner rather than later. For the time being, though, Capcom, once again, has yet another killer lineup for 2026 with games like Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, and also for the next game that we're about ready to talk about being Onimusha Way of the Sword. They gave us another glimpse into its gameplay, and I mean, check this out. It is shaping up incredibly well, which really shouldn't be a huge surprise. Capcom has been on an absolute tear pretty much since probably, I'd say, about 2017. Really, whenever they started to release the Resident Evil remakes and, Resident Evil 7, that was about the time that they just kind of unloaded with quality game after quality game. So I genuinely believe that they have been the best and the most consistent publisher pretty much since that time. Now, they have had some optimization issues here in some of their recent releases with games like Dragon's Dogma 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds. I do think they need to improve in that aspect. But so far, it looks like Onimusha could end up being one of the better action games for 2026. The visuals look great, and the combat looks exceptional. Now, speaking of publishers that I have a lot of faith in right now, Sega showed up today in a pretty big way. In fact, outside of Resident Evil 9, you could very well argue that Stranger Than Heaven might have been the second most exciting AAA reveal here. This is a new IP from RGG, the creators of the Yakuza series, and if you don't know this by this point, they are by far one of the best single-player, story-driven studios that the industry has to offer right now. They're just like a machine. They just pump out high-quality game after high-quality game, and Stranger Than Heaven looks every bit as good as you'd want it to be, and it's also what you would expect from RGG. Its brawling style combat is very similar to the first 6 Yakuza titles, just with a lot more gore to it. So if you've been missing that type of combat with the newer entries, this game could possibly fill that void for you. The other big difference, though, is that it's set in a 1943 era Japan, so we'll see how that works out when it eventually releases, which so far is still a mystery. And just as kind of a side note here, one of the other good things about this being a new IP is that it'll be very welcoming for newcomers. Unlike the Yakuza series, newcomers can easily jump in and enjoy this one day one without the fear that they're missing a lot of the backstory. Now, Sega also gave us an update for Sonic Team Racing CrossWorlds. It will be out on September 25th, and they revealed some fun new crossover characters. So far, the list includes Hatsune Miku, Ichiban from Yakuza, and Joker from Persona. I imagine they'll have more in store, and in fact, they also revealed a crossover with Minecraft, so there's even a chance that we could get even more crossovers from other publishers willing to participate. This is something that we have seen in past Sonic Team Racing games. I remember back whenever they had Banjo-Kazooie in the Xbox 360 title, so, I mean, you never know. One of my favorite announcements here today, though, was actually a smaller scale game, being Mina the Hollower. Now, this is a new Yacht Club's game, which, I mean, if you don't know who they are, they're behind Shovel Knight, which is widely viewed as one of the best independent games really ever made. This is a studio that just kind of feels like they came from a past era because their execution for these classic style games is absolutely pin perfect. And so far, it looks like they pulled it off yet again. Mina the Hollower is a Game Boy Color inspired game, and it looks just incredible. I love the art style that they're showing in this game. I mean, I do have some nostalgia for these style of games, and I mean, I also just love the gameplay that they revealed. It kind of reminds me of some of the old Game Boy Zelda games, games like Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Time. It reminds me of those, at least to some extent, but the gameplay seems to be a little bit more diverse. So if this game is as good as it looks, which I have a lot of faith that it will be just given their reputation, I mean, I think this is going to be a huge hit when it releases on October 31st. And even better here is that they actually released a demo today, so we don't even have to theorize. We can actually go test it out ourselves right now. Now, in terms of big-time sequels, we got a couple of those here today as well. Code Vein 2 was revealed. Not too much in the way of gameplay, but I know there were a lot of fans of the original 2019 title. It's kind of a JRPG-styled Souls-like. And I'd say even all of these years later, it's still probably one of the better Souls-like games not developed by From Software. A lot of these Souls-likes that aren't developed by From Software can be hit or miss, but Code Vein is one of the better entries. So I'm curious to see how they can improve its formula when it releases in 2026. And by this point, you may have noticed a lot of the games that we've been talking about are 2026 releases. So 2026 definitely seems to be a little bit more exciting than 2025. The wait is up on us, but, it is what it is. Now, Atomic Heart 2 also made an appearance. Now, I was actually a little surprised by this one because the first game only released 2 years ago. And what's kind of crazy about that is that it actually had one of the most impressive trailers at the Summer Game Fest. I mean, here you had a lot of games that were just coming out with like cinematic trailers, but this one had gameplay prepared and everything, and it looks great. I mean, the setting, just like the first game, is incredible, but again, the gameplay looks so fun. It's got those crazy abilities, the vehicles look great, and I mean, Atomic Heart is actually probably one of the better new IP from this generation, so it'll be exciting to see what they've learned from that first experience and just how they can make it even better. Unfortunately, though, we don't have a release window as of yet. Now, the Lego company also showed up in a fun way. They revealed 2 different games, and I'm not necessarily a big Lego person, but I like that they're coming up with these fun new ideas. The first of which is a new co-op game by the name of Lego Voyage. It actually comes with a free friend pass. Thank you, Hazelight. You're starting a good trend here. But if you don't know what that means, it means that you can invite any of your online friends at no extra charge. Now, this is a puzzle platformer. You can use Legos to solve various puzzles, and I mean, I don't know if this game is going to be a knockout hit or anything, but this could end up being one of the better co-op games to look forward to. I'm actually going to keep an eye on this one myself because I might enjoy playing this one with my kid. Then as for the other game, this is Lego Party. It's basically Mario Party, but with Legos. It has the board games, the mini games, and just absolutely everything. It really is just a reskin Mario Party. But I like that because here's the thing. Xbox and PlayStation kind of needs a fun family game like this. Mario Party has always been a fun series to play with family, and now Xbox and PlayStation fans can kind of get a similar experience. Let's just kind of hope that the quality is actually there, and that part I'm not quite as sold on just yet. Again, I'm not necessarily a big Lego fan, and a lot of their games do tend to be very mid, I'd say, but we'll see here soon enough. It will release later this year. Now, we also got an update for Mouse PI for Hire. This is a new classic-style first-person shooter in the same vein as something like the old Doom series. Just the art style for this game is very attractive, and it will now release in 2025, and it also got a confirmation that it will be a multi-platform release. It's actually going to come over to PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and also to the Nintendo Switch. So this is a game that you absolutely might want to put on your wish list. There you go, though. Those were some of the better highlights at the Summer Game Fest, and I mean, I don't think this is going to be a very long video. You can kind of take that as you will. I'd personally give this showcase maybe a C-, which is, I'd say, pretty typical for Jeff Keighley events. Again, it's not like he doesn't have the occasional good reveal in his showcases. It's just that the pacing and the length for his showcases don't really merit the time investment. They're just too long, in my opinion, but hopefully this video will help out with that. If I didn't talk about a game that you enjoyed, though, do let me hear about it in the comments below, but that's going to be it for this video. Till next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.